Captain's log. Stardate, dunno. Following the mandatory lockdown quarantine period that we undertook after our successful mission deploying toilet paper to the plague planet COVID-19, I told the crew that anyone who wanted shore leave could have it. The ship was empty within minutes, so now I'm flying this thing alone and, regretting my life choices. In retrospect, I should have worded my message to the crew a little better. But hey, hindsight is 2020. To pass the time before everyone gets back from shore leave, which is absolutely not a quick plot contrivance to prevent the author whose avatar I am from having to draw other characters, oh no, I have been spending my time watching old episodes of Star Trek. This has adequately prepared me for my latest solo mission. Starfleet Command have tasked me with coming up with my own top 5 predictions for Star Trek Discovery Season 3. Let's make it so. Before I continue, I must say one thing. Everything in this mission log is based on my own personal views and predictions. I've also not yet seen episode 1 of Discovery, although some American trekkers have. I guess that makes up for their time zone putting them hours into the past compared to the rest of the world, or something like that, I don't know. I'll get to see Discovery tomorrow, so if anything in these predictions is proved wrong by episode 1 already, well, that's just how things are. Prediction 1. Android Admiral Picard will make a cameo appearance. This one should come as no surprise, to be honest. Right now we have 2 live-action Star Trek shows going on at the same time, and Star Trek has a long history of cameo appearances dating right back to the pilot episode of The Next Generation where a very old Dr. McCoy visited the Enterprise D. Now, we know that Discovery is 1,000 years into the future, which puts, according to my back-of-the-envelope mathematics, about 915 years after Star Trek Generations is set, and therefore 898 years after Series 1 of Star Trek Picard. Hey, thanks Wikipedia. At the end of Series 1 of Picard, we saw the titular Admiral become an android and remark that he was functionally immortal. So does that mean that he could still be around almost a millennia into his future? If so, would he not be fighting to restore the Federation that he loves? I'd like to think so, and if he is, I'd like to see him make a cameo appearance in Discovery at some point. Prediction 2. The burn isn't just an event, it's also a new alien species. Now, there's been a lot of discussion online about what the burn is that has destroyed the Federation and apparently also may have rendered warp travel either very difficult or impossible. I expect it's going to be a major part of this season's storyline. I also expect that it's going to turn out to not just be an event, but either a person or an entire species that has caused this. We've seen in The Next Generation that warp travel can damage space, rendering warp travel impossible in a region. We've also seen someone actually cause a region of space where warp travel can't be performed. That leads me to my big theory here. Someone, or a species of someone's, has weaponized warp technology and unleashed a warp bomb of some kind that destroyed the Federation's ability to reach its outer territories, leaving those defenseless against whatever alien threat was to come. It may even turn out to be the aliens from the planet that was originally affected by warp damage, in a kind of, hey, we warned you and you didn't listen kind of way. Finding a way of either undoing or at least mitigating to some extent the effects of this problem causing warp travel to not work will therefore perform 2 functions if this prediction is correct. First of all, it will provide a major driving force for the Restore the Federation plotline, and that's always a good thing, I think. We kind of need to give our characters something to fight for. Second, it will put an end to that dangling plot thread from the Next Generation era. Prediction 3. Michael Burnham is the Burn. The alternative, and I kind of hope this doesn't turn out to be true because it seems so obvious, is that Burnham will turn out to be the Burn. In a move that would surprise next to no one, flying an entire spaceship 1,000 years into the future could easily have some effects on the space-time continuum. It seems from the trailers that Burnham is not with Discovery, or at least at first she's not. She says in the trailer that she spent a year looking for something, and what if that means she was thrown a year forward compared to Discovery? If so, there could easily be other knock-on effects of her time jump, such as damaging space and time to the point where space burned and warp drive became unusable. If this ends up being the case, then Burnham the Ever-Suffering will have to come face to face with the fact that her attempts to save the Federation have actually doomed it, again, like it did with the Klingons. That could be a very interesting plot thread if handled correctly. Prediction 4. CBS will use Discovery to merge the two main Trek timelines. This one is quite out there, I know, and it demonstrates more than a little wishful thinking on my part. We have two major timelines in Star Trek right now, the Prime timeline and the Kelvin timeline. The Kelvin's timeline's future is a little hazy right now, and while Discovery looks very Kelvin in its set designs and so forth, it's apparently part of the Prime timeline. So why don't we just go all in and have the restoration of the Federation involve some means of merging both timelines? Let's say at some point in the series, Discovery accidentally jumps into the Kelvin universe instead of the Mirror universe for once, and they discover that in this future, the Federation in the Kelvin timeline is still having problems, but instead of those issues coming from damaged space, they've come from a major disease or a major war or something like that, which has rendered most of the galaxy lifeless. If this happens, there's one great way to save both universes. Merge the space from the Kelvin with the people from the Prime to create a universe full of life with the ability to warp restored. Like I said, it is a little out there, but it would be an interesting idea, I think. Prediction 5. This is the end point of the Temporal Cold War. We mentioned earlier the idea of tying off a loose plot thread from a previous series, so let's address the major plot thread that was just kind of abandoned during another Star Trek series. I never believed the Temporal Cold War was properly resolved during Enterprise, and I'd love to see the ultimate culmination of that war. So let's say Discovery has just jumped forward in time 1,000 years, and by doing so, it has taken spore drive technology away from the Federation. This could, and really should, have some huge ramifications for the Federation, which is a massive organization spanning thousands of light years. It takes a long time to travel across the Federation, and sometimes the consequences of such a long reaction time should come back to bite the Feds more than it ever seems to do in the show. As a result of this, having almost instantaneous jump technology would be a huge advantage to the Federation. They could arrive almost immediately to deal with any issues that come up. With spore drive technology taken away from them, it becomes far easier for the Federation's enemies to take advantage of a slower reaction time. So, in come the Sphere Builders and their allies in the Temporal Cold War. They can create all kinds of mischief without the Federation being able to react quick enough to stop them. All it would take would be for some time agents to fail to resolve one temporal incursion. And that's it. It's game over for the Federation in that regard. What if that's how the Federation falls? Discovery and Burnham have the ability to jump through time, so they could go back and put right what once went wrong. Bring the Federation back and restore the timeline in one action-packed quantum leap across time. If Captain Archer could also be involved, that would be even better. But anyway, these are all speculation. I'd love to hear your theories in the comments section below, and remember, whether you like these ideas or not, whether you like Discovery or not, please keep it civil. We're all Trek fans here. So all that's left for me to say is live long and prosper, and Captain Kirk-Robinson, out. If you liked today's video, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Doing that really does help to keep the channel going. And an extra special huge thanks has to go out to Chief89, Tepic, and Sam Yates. Thank you very much.